everyone, hope you are doing well. I'm planning to start a series on the generative AI for the QA or the test engineers, and this is the very first introduction video about the generative AI for a QA or the test engineer. So, as a QA engineer, how we can take the help of generative AI in our day-to-day life. Okay, so in this video, we'll be knowing about the WH question about the generative AI, that is where to use and how to use. Okay, so now let's look at that what we are going to cover in this introduction series. It will be what is the generative AI, okay, then what are the different tools that are available which can help us, for example the Open API GPT, then Google Bard, then GitHub Copilot, then QA use cases. So this is specific to the QA or testing. For example, where is the scope of generative AI in the quality assurance domain, like where we can use. So these are some few examples like test case design, test case writing, then test data generation, then the automation. Then at the end, we'll be going through the benefits of this generative AI, that like how it helps us to reduce the time, as well as it can help in an enhanced test coverage and the resource saving. Now, before going in detail, let's understand what generative AI is. So, generative AI refers to a subset of artificial intelligence that focuses on generating new data or content that is similar to existing data. So here you just focus on the words that generating of new data. Okay. Now, when we are telling that about the subset of artificial intelligence, let's try to know what is artificial intelligence. Okay, so AI is a technology which allows machine to learn and perform tasks that are typically associated with human intelligence. For example, AI can be used to develop machines that can recognize objects, understand natural language, and make decisions. So, if you look at this between the generative AI and AI, so there is a difference in the keyword. The first one pointing to the generating new data or content, and the second one mostly related to the human intelligence. That means our expectation is that when this AI is fully mature or fully ready, this system should behave like a human. For example, it can able to play with you. Okay, then it can able to identify any image. Now, if we look at the typical examples of AI, so we can take the example of a self-driving or AI-based car. Okay, have you ever visualized a car that can drive itself? So in AI system, these cars use variety of sensor, cameras, radar to collect the data about the environment. The AI system then use this data to create a model of the environment. Then it uses this data to make decisions about how to navigate the environment and avoid obstacles. For example, if we are sitting inside the self-driving or the AI-based car, it should able to find out the speed breakers, or if any person crossing the road, and it should slow down or stop the car accordingly. Then have you ever thought of the auto suggestion recommended videos that automatically appear while watching the YouTube or Netflix? Because if you observe while you are watching the YouTube or Netflix, you might be finding this videos you may like. So how it get appear automatically? So it observes the videos what you liked or what the most. Okay, then it searches similar type of videos and prepares a personalized custom experience for you. Then if you take one more example, the image recognition system. When you look at the photo, you are able to identify, because you are a human being, you already know how a cat looks, how a dog looks. So whenever you will come across any picture of a cat or dog or computer, you will be able to identify. Similarly, once this AI will be mature, it will be able to recognize a picture, and it will be able to identify by looking at the picture and customizing it by ask per query, your query or the search. Okay, and this AI is trained with the label data set. So when it finds a match, it will identify the image. So basically it is trained with the large data set. So for example, if you say there will be the data for cat and dog, so whenever you will be searching for the cat, it will find a match. So it will get the label of the cat and it will be displaying the picture of that. Now let's focus more into the generative AI. So when I query for this definition or the just what is generative AI in the Google Bard, I came to know that generative AI is a subset of AI that focuses on creating a new content such as text, images, music, or it can be the code. Okay, so generative AI model, they are mainly trained on the large data set of existing content, and they learn to generate the new content that is similar to the training data upon which they have been trained. Now let's look at some examples of a generative AI. Okay, it can be the text generation, can be the image generation, can be video generation, and can be the game development and the code generation. These are the examples of the generative AI. Okay, now let's look at a brief comparison between a generative AI and traditional, the artificial intelligence. What do you mean by artificial intelligence? So very first point is, it is the generative AI is nothing but a subset of AI. So we can say generative AI is a part of the AI. Okay, and the second one that we need to notice it, that it generates new content like text, code, image. Okay, so when we look at the similar point for the AI, it performs tasks like human intelligence. Okay, and based upon the specific like it is mostly, you can say that perform the task like human intelligence. Okay, and if you see for the generative AI, it is about the new content. Okay, that it tries to generate based upon the training data. But if you look at the traditional AI, it try to go for the specific result based on the training data. And generative AI, it is trained on larger data set of existing content. Okay, and if you look at the AI, it trained on data sets of label data. Okay, if the data set here, it is labeled, and it try to produce similar new content like we discussed, that based upon the trained data, it is again for the specific data. Okay, now let's look at a simple visual representation, that how exactly the generative AI works. Okay, for example, you are a test engineer or the quality assurance engineer. So you are testing an e-commerce website. Okay, and the scenario is to test the login page. So when you ask the data to the generative AI, so it will be able to provide you the test case scenarios along with the test data that will be able to find out in the upcoming minutes of this session, or might be in the next video. But exactly how it does so. Okay, so if you see here, like on the left side, it is trained with the data. So what does that mean? That we already provide, for example, think this as a machine learning, the generative AI machine. Okay, So just for understanding only, it is the example. Here we are setting a lot of data for it, that if there is a successful login test case, that means the test for a successful login, and what are the different username and password and the URL that you provide. Okay. Then similarly you provide the test case details for the invalid login in the similar format. It should be a test case, and you have to provide the detail including the expected and the actual behavior. Similarly for the invalid password, and for the empty username and password, and for the forgot password. Okay, then it learns the pattern. Okay, so what do you mean by pattern? Like so whenever you are giving the input as a test case, so what can be different patterns? It can be a test case template, that how a test case is written. Okay, now whenever you are mentioning a login, it is always associated with a login user, associated with a username and password. And once you are mentioning about the username, it should have a username, and if you are mentioning about the password, it should have a password, that is the field as well as the value. Okay, then what it does, it learns the pattern and it try to generate a new, it learns the pattern. Okay, that means what can be the different pattern? It could be associated in a test case, it can be a test case template. Okay, like you provide the what is the test case name and the objective of the test case, then that would be the heading with the test steps. Okay, then what is the expected behavior and what is the actual behavior, and then since this is related to the login. Okay, and the login, that in the test case, if I have the word login, that means I should have another word for the username as well as for the password. So by learning this pattern, it tries to create a generic template. Okay, and the generic template is the like it will be having the username as a variable and password with a variable, and when you ask for the number of test data as well, like different combination might be generate the positive or negative scenario, or generate 3 or 4 test data for this test case, it will be able to generate. Okay, now once it generates that, so you need to verify that whether it is correct or not, because they are the generative AI, and they are creating a new content based upon the trained data. Okay, it may not be 100% accurate. Okay, but it is your job just to verify that whether it is giving you the accurate data or not. Most of the cases it provides the accurate data. Okay, and even if you can share the feedback on the generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Google Bot, there is option to share the feedback whether it's the correct answer or the wrong answer. But the what I'm trying to say here, that whenever the test template or anything is generated from the OpenAI, just verify yourself as well. Okay, then have you ever thought of that how it does? So that okay, we are giving it the data set. Okay, and it is analyzing that, and it is producing a template, and after the template it will generating the random data. But if you look at a little bit more deeper, that how it is doing so, so mostly it is tokenizing. So whenever you are giving the training data to it, it is tokenizing into individual words and phrases. Okay, then it identifies the pattern by using various machine learning techniques. Okay, then it generates the new data and test case based upon the above learning. Okay, then once it generates the template, it just replaces the variables, mostly you can say the random data, and fill the template. Okay, this is how it works. Now if we look more detail into it, there is a word which is what we discuss about the tokenization. So let's consider a statement like this: I love this product. Okay. Now, when we tell that it is tokenized, that means you can see in the right side that it is a list. Okay. Then what does this list consist of? This list consists of several words, okay, along with a punctuation mark. So what we can say, it is nothing but just a combination of the individual words and punctuation mark when we have this statement, the I love this product. Okay. So it is keeping a list of that. Okay. So when it creates the list, after that what happens next? Okay, then if you see here, it uses the algorithm to learn it. Okay, so when we think about the algorithm, there are different type of machine learning algorithms are there. Okay, but mostly for the text classification, you can take the example of naive Bayes. Okay, so we have this tokenized data like we discussed. These are our input, these are the training data. Now these have been tokenized, and our machine learning algorithm starts to learn this tokenized data. Now how it tries to learn? That this test case should have the test objective. It should have a username field, should be followed by an username. A password field should be followed by a password. A login button should have a link for the forgot password. Okay, now just to clarify, this is I am just trying to visualize you as an example. Okay, but there are lot of things happen in the background, and it is the calculation and the formatting this formatting creating this template. Okay, it might be a complex algorithm as well. Just I am trying to visualize you, that's why I am trying to put it in the very simple words. Okay, now once this is created, the learning pattern is known. It creates a template. Like if you see here, this is the username, and this is a variable, and this is a password, and this is a, you can say it's a template. Okay, then it uses the random username and password that any number of times you have asked. For example, if you ask for the create me a test case with the test data for 10 different test data, it will just replace with this different type of test data. Okay, now what are the different tools that a QA engineer can use? So we can see there is GPT-3 available. Okay, it's from Open API. Then there is Google Bird. Then there is a GitHub Copilot, and there is applet tool, and there are test IM. There are a lot of things, even if slowly they are coming up as well. Okay, so we'll be learning more about them in the next video. Thank you.